Everybody, welcome to the June meeting of Local 108. I'll be your host this evening. This is Gordon Harwell. Welcome. Again, it's executive board and member meeting agenda and all stuff. We'll go ahead and call it to order now. Correspondence, we don't have any officially that I've seen. I'll go through the president's report. Brian will go through the Secretary of Treasury's report. We don't have any committee reports to have. We'll talk about some new business, quick journal topics, any questions anybody might have for the group. For me, obviously COVID-19 has been a big factor for everything we're doing, pushing a lot of stuff with safety, at least on the PHI side. A lot of those recommendations got accepted.
Oh, I thought you were bringing me one.
And they've implemented them. Part of that was getting the masks purchased. Thanks to everybody who was able to get on that quick call and take the vote for that. We got those out, and they're, I think, been well received so far. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Obviously, we've had furloughs at PHI. I believe it was 26, Ryan. Was that correct? Was the last count for total furloughs?
Yeah, I think so.
At least on the pilot side, been close to 100 from oil and gas. 401k matching, the step increases, it's still on hold for what I understand. Last meeting we had with Dave Motzkin, he said that he's going to recommend, at least for air medical, that 401ks are matching is reinstated and that we receive a step increase. I'm not sure what's going to happen with oil and gas and what your side's going to have with that. So we'll see. Obviously, we're going to push for both, but how much influence we have right now is questionable. Also had a recent termination on the air medical side. Chris Kane that participated as a representative. I'm not going to go into the guy's name or anything. There's no need for that. It's not certainly my intention to embarrass him or anything else. But what we did have was a guy who had probably 8 or 9 write-ups against him. They all appeared to be legitimate. It wasn't just some spurious stuff that got thrown out there. So the point of that is basically that we're not here to essentially cover for people that are doing wrong, or we're here to make sure they get a fair shake. We want to make sure that they're not getting written up for BS that isn't legitimate, and we want to make sure that the process is followed. So it's oftentimes we get the rap that, hey, this is a union scumbag guy, the union's just covering for him because he's in the union. That's not the case. That's not what we do at all. Our job is to make sure that everybody receives fair treatment under the Green Book, under whatever collective bargaining agreement we have, or anything else. And while it's always bad when somebody gets terminated for it, if somebody needs to be terminated because they can't comply with the rules, that's what happens. This wasn't a case where this guy wasn't actually in the union. He wasn't a member, but by law, he's entitled to just as much representation as anyone else is. So that's what he received. And we couldn't have done anything differently if he was a member than if he wasn't. So we're required to do that by law, and I think it's good faith to do that anyway. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to talk to him offline. But there's no issues that I can see. I reached out to the managers that participated in that, told them I appreciated how they handled it, and I thought that they handled it professionally. They did everything correctly. They didn't kind of cut any corners to try and just get rid of a guy. So that was good. I think we need to recognize that it's important when management does their part, and it's important when we do our part. So that's about all I have for that. Anybody have any questions on that? All right. 1 second. All right. Ryan, you want to hit this? Or you want me to knock it out for you? Can you read it, or?
Yeah, so care flight portion is inaccurate. It should be 21 of 24.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure why I missed that bullet. I'm sorry.
We do have 90 total members. And then the total pilots for PHIs dropped down to 567. Most of that came out of, all of it came out of oil and gas for the furloughs. We actually had one hire on air medical side. So as far as how it affected us, basically we lost 3 members to the furloughs. and overall, we went from like 27% up to 31%. So we lost 3, but we also lost 26 pilots total. So the percentage actually went up. Got, I think, 2 more onto CareFlight, so they're up to 83%.
I think the mass did it. I mean, that's definitely did it.
Yeah. And so currently we're at 12% overall for PHI pilots. Still looking for 50.
Yep. Cool. And then on the financial side.
So total account sits at 142,500. Last month's income was 5,400, and expenses were 4,100. We had a little bit more this time on the website. There's an annual bump that we have to pay, and then both the checks for April and May to OPEIU were cashed in this month.
And so normal expenses are going to be about 2,400 right now. So we're pulling in about 3,000 plus a month, which isn't terrible. So it's a lot better than I thought it would be with the rate changes for the dues. So anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right. Old business. We got some masks, obviously. Those were all, everybody agreed and voted unanimously. That sent out on a email for everybody in the minutes if anybody wants to take a look at it. They get delivered, distributed. What does everybody think on this? This is kind of my biggest question is, was this a good use of funds? Was it effective? Was it worthwhile? Or was this kind of just a waste of our resources?
I think it was positively received in Homa. I mean, the company's providing like paper masks when you come in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty terrible and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Being present, reaching out, and making your presence known, and bringing a gift. I think it had a positive effect. Bring a little bit of an awareness to the organization.
Yeah, I think the modeling there helped a lot too. I've heard from about probably a dozen air medical pilots that have reached out. I think we've gotten about 3 additional members from it. That people just say, "Hey, thanks for the thing. Can you send me an application?" So obviously that's probably not worth the amount of money we put in, but I think it's getting the name out there. People were actually looking for them. I know Rodney Nickel, I sent a group down to Miami, and he said that they hadn't gotten them yet, so I may have to send some new ones down. But we were looking forward to them. They want to see them. So again, at the very least, it's getting a new logo out there. It's getting everybody's brain thinking about it. So we'll hit the next round, which will be something else. It'll be even more visible for them. So on a new business, kind of right now we're kind of had a triple whammy of things that hit us with COVID, with price of oil, with furloughs and everything else. I mean, they're all kind of related, but I think this set us back several months, probably 3 or 4 at least, from where we kind of wanted to be. Also kind of submarined the push for more money for pay, at least in the short term. Since they don't use many pilots, obviously that demand goes down. So, but we know micro and macroeconomics kind of kicks us in the ass. It's not something we're obviously gonna forget about and drop, but I think right now trying to keep what we have is important. And then as we stabilize, we push for more, just kind of slow, steady progress. With that, again, we have to grow the membership. That hasn't changed at all. Be able to bargain and collectively bargain. If we can collectively bargain, we can get more benefits, pay, change the rules the way we want them, but we can't do it without the additional members. So I think that's supposed to be a big focus beyond the normal, safety, professionalism, and fair treatment. But as far as what we're pushing and maximizing our efforts toward, really still needs to be membership. Again, it's that catch-22 of how do you grow membership? Well, you said that you're doing something. How do you do something? Well, we have to grow membership. Obviously, it's a fine line, but we have to work it and we have to walk it. So we got to continue to engage with management. I've been pretty encouraged by what the interactions I've had with Jason O'Neill recently. When the announcements came out about the furloughs, I had a discussion with him just before. I mean, it was not like, hey, weeks ahead of time. This was, hey, and give me a heads up. This is coming out tomorrow. Keep it to yourself until then. But it was not names or anything else. Like, hey, there's probably going to be, you're going to see a note coming. You're going to get a little sooner. I got the letter, I think 3 hours before everybody else did. I think Scott, Ryan, and I all got it like just before the letter went to everybody else. Just was a courteous heads up, but we'd obviously have to get to the point where we get more than just a few days or a day or a few hours. We'd like to get to the point of, hey, are there other options besides laying off 26 people? What else can we do? You know, there's something that we can do as a union, as a labor pool, as a workforce to help out with this. Obviously, we're not there yet, but we'll get there eventually if we continue to show that we are an organized group. Working with management is going to be important. Again, I'm going to get on my hobby horse about committees. I think that's a way that we can show cooperation and some progress with management is by saying, hey, we know you have issues. We want to help you with those issues. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to push and push on this and encourage everybody to adopt a committee. Find one that you agree with or want, and you got an axe to grind. This is the way to do it. It's the way to affect change is the slow tedium of bureaucracy. Getting something, focusing on it, and just making yourself a pain in the ass. Hey, send a letter, send a letter, send a letter. It's very slow progress, but it is incremental. It does work. And the big ones are going to be safety, professionalism, with the professional, what is it? The committee we have for professionalism, and then the housing and environmental standards and uniforms. Those are all things where those are issues that everyone cares about, especially the safety and the housing piece, because if you're at work, you want to be safe and you want to live in somewhere decent. So they tie in together. In professionalism stuff, we can show that, hey, we're again trying to be accountable. We want to improve things on the operational side, and that's where we can help out the bottom line of the company. As we do that, we start to see it. The second thing really is merchandising, as using the shorts. We obviously want to see stuff we need to send to members with new logos. It's going to be t-shirts, probably a hat, just like the old stuff. Probably a couple stickers to throw on things, maybe an enamel pin, a couple ink pens, and then kind of swag for the masses. Scott and I discussed the idea of sending stuff out to the air medical bases, and that's really where our big push needs to be. And also obviously at HOMA, it makes it pretty centralized, HOMA and Galveston, but throwing out a bunch of pins with the logo on it, stickers, notepads, things like that, where people see it, they recognize it, and it gets out there. And we have a certain amount of penetration. And at that point, it's like, oh shit, what is this whole union thing? Oh yeah, let me look into that. People start talking about it. And yeah, maybe we can do this. And what's the union done? And this. So anytime we get that discussion, it's good. Because I think for the past year, we've made, I think, quite a bit of progress. It's obviously not as fast as any of us want to see, but it's definitely some. But where we were, a year ago, we've tripled our numbers, and that's nothing to sneeze at. We've redone the Constitution and bylaws. We've gotten the logo redone. We've gotten all this stuff started. We got masks out to every pilot of the company. That's something that I don't think that the union has done before, is to send something to every pilot in the company. So it shows that we're serious, that we're dedicated to it, and we're working, moving forward. So that's what I'd like to do is let you guys kind of take a look at it and think about it. And before the next meeting, or at least for the next meeting, I'd like to have hard numbers, come up with some ideas on, we've obviously got the stuff that we already received from the design company, with designs for the pins, the stickers, all that kind of stuff. So we can just essentially start, hey, how much is it going to cost us? I'll start tracking that stuff down. Obviously members, we're talking about 100, it's probably planning for like 150 for the hats and t-shirts. Stickers can probably order by the 1,000. for fairly inexpensive. Pins kind of the same, 100, 150. And pins probably 5, however many it takes. But find a decent pin that people are going to want to use, not something that's just going to be something to stir your coffee with. And notepads, just because those are things that everybody uses, whether they like it or not. You always need to throw something down on a piece of paper. And if it's got that pretty logo on it, you're like, oh yeah, what is that? Again, it starts to creep into your brain. So you guys got any other ideas? Please throw them in and let me know. And we'll start to get an order put together. Obviously, we'll have to do with the current members when you send some stuff out. I'm like, hey, what size shirts do you want? How big is your head? Whether you want to go with I don't really like trucker hats, but they do have the advantage of being one size fits all, unless you have a giant head like me. So we'll work through that as well. Committees, again, we don't really have any committee reports. Everybody's just, I don't blame anybody for being busy or not really knowing what's next, because we've been, again, kind of put on our back feet for a little bit. But again, just take a look, see which ones. What's up?
With the Crew Accommodations Committee and Environmental Standards, I don't know if you got the email from Pat Attaway that came out about the bed coverings and pillow coverings.
No.
Came about a month ago, and
nice.
they were in the process of putting them in place. So that's one area we've engaged on, and they agreed to do it. And for those that are in HOMA, you should be able to look on the beds and verify that there's a mattress cover and a pillow cover there. They've also, I think part of that engagement, John Russell was asking about the cleaning of the blankets, and they've gotten rid of, their intent is to get rid of the comforters and go to 3 smaller blankets per room so that they can be washed on a regular basis, and then there's always one in the room that's available. So from that engagement, we've had that result in the last month and a half.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, that's something else we can pitch to people that, hey, this is something that we've done, and also just encourage people, hey, if you have a problem with your room, bring it to the area manager, bring it to the area manager, and just bug them, because the more it's a pain in the ass for them, the more something's going to happen.
So they have an area manager on the North Ramp anymore.
That's right. It's all, well, we can get our pitchforks and go over to the West Ramp on one of the people movers that's been deconned over and over again. So again, just like the Career Accommodation Environmental Standards, it works. The Joint States Committee, you'd think that would be a high priority item for them. I've talked to both the safety guys for aeromedical and for oil and gas. They're like, yeah, we'll get back to you next week, for the past couple months. So I think that's a little bit of a stiff arm, but eventually we can always file a grievance, say, hey, we've been trying to get a hold of you. I don't want to do it that way, but I think with Jason, I can start talking to Jason O'Neill. I'm like, hey, is there anything you can do to try and work this along? So any of those joint committees are points of contact where we can talk to those guys and work through stuff. And anything we can accomplish helps. Anything that we can't accomplish, that helps too, because you can get more done if we have more membership. If you want things done, you have to join. Kind of that whole SEER loop. All right, questions and answers. Anybody have any questions for me or or Ryan? Do you have anything you want to discuss or talk about?
No, I'm good.
Scott, anything?
Nope.
All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? One at a time, please. Please, no. Okay. All right. Just going to have to end it there. All right. In that case, we'll go to adjourn the meeting. Next meeting's going to be scheduled for July 13th. Hopefully that happens. Again, I apologize for some obviously pretty stressful time and a lot going on lately. So we'll stop the recording, and then we'll take any questions that anybody wants offline. That'll be it. You guys have any questions or comments before I end it? All right. Well, see you next time. Thanks.